So we continue this discussion as a panel, and I encourage everybody to ask via Slido, even just without Slido that raising the hand, and we are, sorry, so we are ready that answering the question. So I would ask the participants, what is the reason that behind that this stagnating recycled polymer price? Because in theory, we have 5-6 years till the mandatory recycling content, but we should reach in not only the PET, but every packaging materials. One hand. Another hand, the energy price and the waste price is increasing. Why the price of recycled material stagnating? Adrian, do you have some answer for that from your perspective?
Thank you very much, Laszlo. I will try to. I have an answer from our point of view, and as you know, we are both converters and recyclers. In the last couple of years, if not more, we were seeing a tremendous increase in price of energy, and I'm pretty sure that we all felt these effects on our companies. As recyclers, on one hand, we are between the collectors, which are demanding high prices for the scrap, due to the fact that the consumption is low, and they are saying is not so much material into the market and you should pay more because we have higher costs in collecting and sorting. On the other side, we were seeing an effect of pressing from our end market, meaning the regranulate that we're selling. It becomes a little bit under pressure from the price point of view. The converters, which are utilizing our regranulate, are pressing to go down with the price because they need that price. It's the market price. So we are squeezed between the collectors and our market. This is one side. On the other side, we are seeing an effect due to the decrease of the crude oil. As you had mentioned, in the last 6 weeks, we were seeing a decrease of 15%. So the monomer come quite steeply down, and we are expecting a further decrease in October. So that means we should go even lower with very low prices that we're having in this moment for the regranulate. I want to draw attention about a fact that if this trend will continue, there will be a lot of small recycling companies which will be out of business quite soon, because this trend of high energy cost and low price for finished product will destroy them.
Okay, thank you. I would ask Mr. Werner Kruschitz, because that is another part of Central Europe, the western part of Central Europe, that because that, as far as I know, that the price level, for example, in Austria is a little bit higher. That if you see that the ICs and if you see that the report of our clients, that the clients from Central Europe can pay more for the recycled material. It's not significantly higher, but a little bit higher than the Romanian or the Hungarian price. What could be behind that? How do you evaluate this price level?
First of all, it's a market issue. So maybe in the Western European country, as you mentioned, there is more demand on recycled materials from the law here, because also the companies, the big companies, the brand marks are already looking for the future, for the 30% recycling part in the new products. So there's a little more demand. From the other issue, we see the high prices mostly in PET. As we see in the PET in the past, PET is the only plastic material who was possible to get higher prices for recycled material than for the virgin material. Why is this? Because in PET, we got the certification for packaging for food grade. In other materials, we never get it. Or maybe we'll get it, we're on the way, but there we'll see. If the legislation can make us a new demand, we get also higher prices of recycler, because then there's a must to put in the virgin material also recycled material. So there's maybe one way for the future to get better prices for the recyclers. The second point is today what changed in the recycling market, also in West European, we have new players in the market with huge quantities, with huge money, as you see like Basel, Borealis, all the petrochemical industry coming with new goals to do with 2030. Basel is 3 million tons, Borealis 2 million tons. These are figures what we recyclers never had. We was only, a big recycler was 100,000 tons per year. Now we have recyclers who want to recycle 400, 500,000 tons. The market is totally changing. So, and we will see what happens in the future. And this is also, is there enough material? Is there enough collection? What is the key point? Because a lot of officials doesn't make collection for plastics. Because plastic is cheap, plastic is light, and it costs too much for collection. In aluminium, you get immediately money, and it's a heavy material. In glass, you already know it. But plastic collection, how many bins do you save for collection? How often they empty the bins? Maybe once a month. In paper, they're doing every week. We have to find a new collection system all over Europe to get the material, because there's coming huge quantities of recycling plants who needs material. And the second point then is, after the collection, the sorting. We learned so much in the last 5 years for sorting. We can sorting better in colors, in materials, in very clean materials. That's also the point. At the end, we can get a good quality of recycled material. And that's the point. If I have a good quality of recycled material, if I have clear PET for PET bottles, I get 20–40% more than virgin material. And that should be the future, to come up in this way, in this market, to bring up that the recycler producing mostly quality material, and see that is the market here. And the legislation will make the market for us.
Thank you. It's very interesting. That I would ask Mr. Zsolt Peller from the plastic converting side, how see that this low, let's say that low price level, that how evaluate this price level, and what condition can accept the higher price level, what the recyclers should do for generating better value, higher price. What is your opinion?
First of all, thank you very much for having me here. And allow me, please, that it was referring very much on the low prices, and I think in the audience there are some raw material producers, and allow me to send them a message that maybe further price reduction is still welcome. To take it seriously, our observation is that the prices are volatile when there is a market in a changing mood. And this has been seen since the late 2010, when the first European Parliament legislation came out. And then everybody was looking for an immediate solution. Sometimes even useful plastic has been changed to different material, which was maybe in that sense no really sense. And then also the COVID time was a very turbulent time. And ever since, there is the PPWR, which is ahead of us, but with the deadline of 2030. So these days, we see a smoothening on the market, and maybe not rushed by the customers to make a change. They are preparing, of course, but there is no turbulence on the market at this moment. Even though I think we look at to some segments that is in a kind of recession, like construction is definitely. Maybe it's there to say as a recession is a slowdown, perhaps. But now, also we have seen that retailers who were much more ahead of even the legislations, they also postponed their wish for introducing the new materials which are coming with the PPWR. So definitely it's a smoothening on the market which does not boost now the need for materials.
Okay, thank you. I would like to ask the machine producer, the recycling machine producer. One question is, do you feel this recession in the in the recycling market? That does your order level is decreased? That how, Estera, I would like to ask you that how do you evaluate this movement on the market in the recycling? Do you agree that that after this booming in recycling nowadays there is some quiet period or some consolidation? What do you think about that?
So first of all, we should think about it that the recycling process, it's not so easy, yeah? You need a good technology. You should think about it that recycling has many challenges. One of them is degradation of polymer chains. So it means especially if we're talking about polyolefins, polyethylene, and contamination. Like we mentioned before, contamination is a big challenge for us as well. And if we're talking about application, we should look at that and find the best solution for the application. Yeah, but I can confirm collecting and sorting is one of the main points where we should look at it and make it better at the moment, because we have not really a good infrastructure for that.
Okay, thank you. And I would like to ask Mr. Kitzberger, Clemens, that it is, when Mr. Kruschitz has mentioned, I think that the food grade material, need a food grade recycled material. Okay, in the PET, it seems that it's a solved problem, that there is a technology is available. And what is the situation in the case of polyolefins, even in polystyrene?
Yeah, first of all, also thank you for the invitation to this panel. On one hand, of course, the PET bottle-to-bottle recycling or PET application, it's state-of-the-art. We started recycling, food-grade recycling, roughly 25 years ago. The methods for analyzing material went, of course, getting better and better steadily, so I'm always impressed when I go through our facility with customers how a PET plant looked 20, 25 years ago. It was a simple extruder with one reactor. Nowadays it's a building, a plant of machines, because it was made more and more, registration got stricter, analyze methods getting better. So the recycling process was continuously also getting better and better to make or keep this food material safe. In kind of polyolefins, I hear often that mechanical recycling can never bring food grade material in polyolefins. We are not thinking in this way. On one hand, there is FDA LNOs on the market for HDPE bottles, for PP regrind, for LDB film. The last 2-3 years for stretch and shrink film, customers of us could get a LNO. What makes it complicated is, again, sorting. But the sorting increased, the technology, like Werner said, also increased a lot. I heard from a German waste manager, for example, for HDPE cosmetic bottle, they are already able that they know exactly which truck of yellow bag was coming in, up to the pallets, to give safety to the brand owner. Where was this material coming from? Better recycling technologies like hot wash, which is state-of-the-art in PET, with chemicals coming up for rigid polyolefins at least. Also for the film, we will need it for spots and gels, for glue, for adhesives, from the paper labels to bring them out. And one big topic in the development for especially film recycling, what we have followed up the last years is spots and gels. This is definitely what the market, the converters tell us, what is an issue for film producing. Not only aesthetics, also technically that the bubble don't break and so on. We should be proud what we could reach in the last year. So we are far away from garbage bags, which was a highlight 10, 15 years ago. Now we have shrink to shrink, stretch to stretch. We have already, with the platform C-Flex, we showed shrink film with PCR coming from household waste film. There is also Fraunhofer expert opinion letters that it is safe, that no migration comes from a label, for example, into a PET bottle, into a drink. So also, like Werner said, the industry is changing. We have to, it's getting much more complicated, so we need expert opinion letters, we need more safety, the people looking for material data sheets, of course, so it's getting more and more like virgin, and this is what we have to achieve, like in PET, to be successful.
So as I understand that we are the right way to find a solution for food content, the widespreading packaging material, which is a polyolefin, more than 40% of the package of the polymer consumption is polyolefin. That I think that we struggling the majority of the problem in the case of that. And what do you think that when is will widespreading all over in Europe? That how many years needed that food contact recyclation in the polyolefin will be the daily practice?
The PPWR asks for 10% PCR at the moment for sensitive packaging. Still a discussion, what is a sensitive packaging? Is it only direct food contact? Is it also cosmetics? Whatever, let's see. 10% helps because you, of course, like in the FDA LNOs, you can have a LNO for 100% reuse, for 50%, for 10%. In UK, the milk bottles, for example, a standard is 30%. 10%, in our opinion, is achievable in the next 2 to 3 years with the help of this so-called novel technology, which came up last year from the European Commission, which is, in my opinion, getting more, or EFSA asked in kind of polyolefins the last years for studies. So in PET bottles, you have a lot of studies how safe is the collection of the bottle, how much misuse you have to calculate. In polyolefin, we together as industry, I don't know why, but we were not able to deliver data. And in my opinion, the Commission started this novel technology possibility, because now if you submit to such a project, what we did now with different recyclers together, you are pushed to deliver data. So you have to take samples from your production, you have to analyze the data, you have to publish the data, and that's for us a good way forward with something we can work.
Zsolt, Peller, I would like to ask that, Zsolt, that what do you think about it is the reliability of this solution in the polyolefin, that in food contact grades? How is your company, how is your practice, how you can accept that? As far as I know, you have some solution, not for polyolefin, for polystyrene, for the food contact, but what is your opinion? What is your internal policy? What is your expectation?
There is an EFSA description about that if we are looking for mechanical recycling content, we should somehow prove approximately 95–97% of a clean material. And a few years ago, we identified that, especially in the German-speaking countries, a lot of yogurt cups are made filled in polystyrene cups. And not really other materials have been put into this material. So all the recycled materials and sorted materials were actually white PS, which were used for food contact already. And we made a study about that, and we figured out that we could select and we could find this 97% of, let's say, waste material, which could be used as a resource. And we created the source for that. And we have already a preliminary approval from EFSA for food contact. This could be the future way that we even sort at the very beginning, not to mix too many different materials, even if we talk about PP or polyethylene. Even by the waste handling, we somehow sort it, and it makes us much more easy to identify less foreign contact, which allows us to use the material for food contact as well.
I think it's obvious that the sorting, the earliest sorting as possible, is the key issue in improving one hand the quality, on the other hand the quantity of the waste, because that the waste in our terminology we use as a feedstock. But there are certain limitations in the mechanical recycling. I beg your pardon that I'm talking about polyolefin because that one hand I'm coming from the polyolefin industry, another hand is the polyolefin is the field which is not really solved now. That there are a lot of recyclers in the polyolefin, but my question is focusing that. So that I would like to ask Mr. Kruschitz that what do you think about that? Which selection methodology is needed? Which level we should start to the sorting, the waste, which can improve which can improve the quality and the quantity of the waste in the case of the polyolefin.
Okay, for the sorting technology, we saw that we can learn a lot with digital. We can learn a lot of AAE, because here you have to, if you see a bottle or a film of polyolefins, you have to immediately decide what can I do with this. On which belt is the next step where sorting. So first of all, we have to sort the whole film or the bottle, whatever we get on polyolefins. Then we go in the washing line. Then we have flake sorters. And in a flake sorter, you can do a lot. You can do color, sorting by colors. You can sorting by different qualities. Because the intelligence or whatever the sorting machine learns today and will be in the future, which information they give us, what is in the material and what could be the material, should be also the way to get the food application for polyolefins.
Maybe just to add here, we also run actually a project with recycling companies that we put a watermark on our packaging material, which helps them to identify the material, and it's definitely helping to sort in advance.
Another problem, not only the food contact is a problem in the case of the polyolefin, that the polyolefin variety is quite big. That we're talking about in the case of the polyethylene is close to 200 application, in the polypropylene 80 application by MFR. So that, but according to the Dow CEO, Mr. Jim Flitterling is mentioned that in mechanical recycling, we can fulfill only the 15% of the future demand. What do you think about that? Is it true, or even we can improve with the sorting? Do we have any solution to improve that, Mr. Kruschitz?
When you look at the whole chain, sorting, collecting, how do you collect it? How much you collect it? How do you collect it? Today we collect in Austria. No, we're collecting plastic with Tetra Pak, with metal, with glass, with everything. So there's a big problem then for sorting. If I'm collecting only plastics and this once a week, I can get a good quality. Then I have the possibility to do more and more in the sorting. And then I have a quality on my extrusion line or after the washing line, which I can produce a pellet or a granulate, which is very, very close to the virgin material. And there's 15%. It's already maybe have today. Yeah, but if the goal should be 50 or 60%. That should be our goal, and it's possible.
Okay, Thomas. I see that you have a lot of thoughts that are open to.
Well, you said I needed to wait until we talked about chemical recycling to add a comment.
This is next topic. We can start.
Yeah, I'm not going to wait so long. But no, I mean, I certainly don't pretend to know the mind of Jim Fitterling of Dow. But I think, too, when you look at some of the efforts going on today about, around design for recycling, that will also have a major impact. I mean, mechanical recycling is a mature market. It's been done decades long. But these so-called advanced recycling techniques are in early stages. The chemical recycling market as well. I mean, we're in the Wild West still. the winners, the losers, what's going to work, what isn't going to work, hasn't been proven yet. And to make a prediction for 2030 saying only 15%, maybe that doesn't take into consideration some developments that are yet, that are currently being worked on, currently being invested in, and some that we don't even know about yet. So I would be more optimistic as well, and hope, even as a chemical recycling technology company, would hope that mechanical recycling would take care of a much greater percentage.
Yes, everybody's believe the chemical recycling with those solutions which solve the problem. Rest of the matter waste that we can use in the mechanical recycling. But what do you think? What is the reason why, if you see the figures in Europe, only 400 kilotons chemical recycling capacity are implemented, and 300 kilotons, less than 300 kilotons is a pyrolysis plant, and all of the plan is about 40 kilotons, that if we compare with the virgin polymer production, which is 50 million tons, that we took magnitude behind that what we needed, that how we solve this problem, how we going on that way.
How much time do I have to answer?
Not too much. Okay,
I would suggest, there are, I think, a couple of other topics we'll be getting to where I can add some more, but chemical recycling has promise. It is certainly can and will be, in my opinion, a significant part of the solution of the so-called plastic problem. But again, while pyrolysis itself has been around for a long time, pyrolysis of waste plastic is still a very recent innovation, and a lot of work is still to be done. There are solutions now that do work, some with pure streams than others, but there are technologies that work. But I think part of the problem is the industry 10, 15 years ago pushed maybe a little too hard, too fast, or at least made too many promises too early. And now all of a sudden, this shiny silver bullet is no longer shiny. It has a lot of dings in it, and I think we need to sort of reset and be honest about the capabilities and the limits of chemical recycling. And when we do that, and we work along with the needs of the converters, the producers, and working alongside the mechanical recyclers, I think chemical recycling will, in the coming years, fulfill the promise that we thought it would 5 years
so
ago.
that Adrian has some words regarding that.
Laszlo, I think it's not an issue regarding chemical recycling versus mechanical recycling.
Exactly.
It's part of the solution, also chemical recycling, we're recognizing this. It was a debate at the point that we are not very fond about chemical recycling because it will take a big stream of the material existing onto the market. I don't believe that. Chemical recycling is at the very early stage of the technology. There are not still proven technology which is standing from financial point of view. Maybe there are, but we don't have any knowledge about that. There are some trials, and they are working very hard, but they are sustained projects with subsidized money. They are not standing by themselves from economic point of view. But I would point out another topic, the legislation. And I will ask every one of you, participants from this hall, if you are feeling an improvement in the last 5, even more, 10 years, in regards of legislation, and if you had any help from any institution or European Union Commission's Environmental Commission, Commissar, or whatever it is called there. And I will tell you why I'm so upset on these topics, because in the in the absence of legislation which should impose, first of all, a tax for non-recycled plastic, and second, a percentage to be used within at least industrial application, So in the absence of such kind of laws, we will not be able to go further with either mechanical recycling, either with chemical recycling. And we will suffer as recyclers. Aside us will suffer the big companies which are producing technology for recycling. And at the end, it will suffer the converters and the end user. And we will foresee what is this happening in this very moment in Budapest, these floods, which is due to the climate change. And we are seeing so many events like this throughout Europe or throughout the world, and nothing will change. And my call to action is this: let's race together and in a unique voice, one voice, and go to the European Union Commission and demand, not ask nicely, because we are doing this in the last 10 years and nothing happened, demand that legislation which is absolutely needed at European level to be applicable in every country from EU 27, right away. No question asked when, starting with tomorrow, because otherwise we will not develop. This recycling will be just a dream. We will hear a lot of speeches from the politicians regarding sustainability, about circular economy, about green. We are sustaining this kind of project, but nothing happens really.
I have only one question. Do you think that the pressure from the legislation, the taxes that for on the non-recycled plastics products, it can help until that we have that doesn't solve the problem that every application we should prepare certain recycled material, because the problem is now that if you're talking about polyolefin, like polypropylene, the majority of the polypropylene on the market, only for a few applications. The certain MFR rate between 8 and 12, and everybody is pushed the same application, want to sell. What is one of the reasons of the low prices? That until that, I think it's not ethical that make pressure and the financial pressure on the plastic converters, why we couldn't offer the solution. What do you think about Zsolt? Do you think that it is help in your use in the recycled material if some financial pressure, taxation is coming?
Definitely, we can see that. Before, allow me to clarify one thing. What is recycling exactly? From the industry, I understand at least that anything what we produce on an industrial way can be technically recycled. However, in case of plastics, we are not talking about full recyclability because of certain issues, but normally this is a kind of financial issue. Financial issue in a way that maybe it's way too costly to make the recycling, or doesn't exist a chain for. There are materials, even plastic materials, which doesn't make sense to recycle. Giving you one example, I don't know actually if you do ABS recycling. Just one drop here. Our obligation is definitely to produce such products which are dedicated for recycling as well. So we have to think not only with the head of the customers, but also one step further. But what you said, design for recycling is super important to help also to the customers to avoid of any taxation in the future. And this is already happening. Although, of course, the PPWR is still ahead of us more than 5 years. Some customers are already making the change, but I think this is still ahead of us because some of the material is still missing. For example, enough chemical recycled material is not there yet. because food contact is not available with mechanical recycled polyolefins in many cases, many situations. But it's not that easy because we somehow need to even teach the customers what they need to do, how they need to feel, how they need to approach, even together with our products, and how to feed then the collecting and then the sorting process. This is very, very important. We even analyzed on a group level that not all of our products are fully recyclable. And this is the very first thing what we need to do.
If anybody want to join to discussion, now that with opinion, we are ready to interrupting us and give the microphone that it is enabled. Werner, please continue.
Sorry for that. I only have to add something. Packaging is only 30 to 35% of the plastics, what we have in the market. So we have to look also to other plastics. So from the waste, I see there's some different points. No? In the packaging is used maybe for 10 seconds from McDonald's drive-through to maybe 1-2 days. Then we have plastic waste is coming from the automotive industry, 5 to 20 years. Then we have furniture, 10 years, 5 years, 2 years. And then we have for the building industry, if we put a pipe in the earth, it's coming out after 50 years. We have to think all of these plastics, yeah?
Agriculture as well.
And that is the quantity where we have to looking for. So ABS recycling existing. Yeah. Sorry for that. From the VA, from the electronics industry, we make pellets, we sell the pellets once again to do it. But we have to see also if we have the long-term plastics, and plastic is a very, very good raw material, and we should always say it's plastic, that we can use it for 50, 60 years in the pipe industry. As we see today in the windows frames of the windows, we get back the PVC. Today we have the problems to recycle PVC because the additive inside is today a hazard waste. And here the legislation is doing nothing. They let us alone there. If I make today a television frame, yeah, there's an additive inside for flame retardant, which today is not allowed. So what should I do as a recycler? I have here a mountain of the old material, and for me it's a hazard waste and have to bring it away to pay huge money. So legislation should allow us also to mix up this material with good material, to recycle it once again, to show that the circular economy is working. And this is a big point for us.
Okay, understand. So regarding that recycling, because that I think we are let's say, live in a paradise in the recycling point of view, because that material, what we are recycling now made from virgin polymer. And what about when the second, third, fourth time recycled materials come back into the recycling? I asked Estera that what is your company standpoint? How is managing from your point of view, because it will contain a lot of additives, some molecules which is not homogeneous. What we can do?
Yeah. So first of all, we have to separate it if we're talking about recycling and compounding. Yeah. If we're talking just about recycling, we don't give any additives. If we're talking about compounding, we do some additives to prepare material better for other application. And that's true. If we give more additive inside, we have problem, or we have a big issue by polyolefins with gels and spot, what Klaus mentioned before. Yeah, the technology is very good point. So a good technology, we should invest in the future and make it better. Yeah, avoid to give other additives.
Clemens, what do you think? How are we managing to the mixed molecule system, the degraded molecules? What is the future? Because okay.
I would like.
Sorry.
And that's why I think this is, in my opinion, that's why chemical recycling should support mechanical recycling. We should not see that like a fight between that. It's supporting if we're talking about very difficult materials.
Thank you. Clemens, do you have some comments?
I can see on the machines we are delivering that there is more and more dosing units installed, so customers are ordering dosing units, because this is why the whole plastic industry should work together. The specialists on the market are the petrochemical people who knows how to prepare a melt that you don't damage it during extrusion. So we can see that more and more people using stabilizers, antioxidants, dosing into the melt. There's virgin boosters, recycling boosters from the virgin industry. So there's also a very positive movement in the direction to keep the polymer chains as long as possible. Of course, PET is perfect. You repair the material during the recycling. But also here, the market, so we hear from the German market, for example, where the PET goes a lot of circles already due to the bringback scheme. On one hand, you can see that the thick parts of the bottles getting more grayish on one hand, because there is IV increase additives used. So, of course, we have to be carefully that we don't damage with the additives color or aesthetics or whatever. On the other hand, we had to rethink, for example, our machines, because like Werner said, the big players are coming. There is virgin polymer specialists also visiting nowadays recycling plants, and they look to the parameters. That's very positive for us. We get the feedback from them, please decrease the melt temperature in your process. We need 50 micron filtration, but we need a melt temperature of 220 or whatever. And then machine builders can react and design the machines for this hopefully coming closed loop.
I will add something here. We were talking earlier about the collection, the importance of collection, sorting, and afterwards recycling. And I will mention the second biggest, largest project in Europe after Germany. It is implemented in Romania. It's quite new. It's from last December, so have less than 1 year. But in 1 year, it's the Returo, it is called. It's a system of return warranty. If we are purchasing 1 bottle of water or soft drinks or whatever, we have to pay a warranty of 10 euro cents. And when we are getting back the bottle, we are receiving a coupon that we can use for a purchase. But what I want to tell you is that this project is absolutely a success in Romania. We're having a stream of material absolutely clean, which is sorted by colors, PET, transparent, green, blue, or brown, and in absolutely incredible quantities. We had succeeded to have like, I think for August, we exceed 65% of the total packages placed into the market, and I'm not saying only PET, it's the aluminum cans and glass. And regarding your question with the degradation, we are very proud to be one of the suppliers for the big sacks in which these materials are handled, and part of the process and the circularity, we are getting back the sacks after they are used, and we are recycling once again. And we're making this process in an EREMA with these feeders for additives and powder and so on. Of course, with some fresh material and with some process aid, and we can obtain a granule which is absolutely outstanding for the next life cycle. So we are doing this in industrial way at the level of many hundreds of tons per month. So in this very moment. So can be done.
Okay, thank you. I want to reflect and with question to Clemens, what you mentioned, that more and more polymer producers visiting to EREMA and checking that how is the recycling is working. That I think that there is a basic assumption on the average plastic converter side, that the legislation is done by the decision maker, and probably that, of course, that they made a solution as well. That it means that they expecting that they shouldn't deal with different kind of recycled material. They get a bag which is recycled polypropylene, looks like the previous one, but they can use without any further activity that put in the machinery. And I think that the polymer producer can ensure this solution if they offering the virgin recycling compounds for their client. What do you think about, as I asked Adrian and Werner, what do you think about, there is a future of the recycling market, that the polymer producer integrate the recyclation company? Even the independent recycler has some opportunity on long term.
Okay, for me, there's a big future, because as I see in all other materials like wood, like iron, like paper, like also wood, there's always the brand producers take back the waste. Yeah, in plastic, till now it was never. Because the plastic industry say, hey, we're the plastic industry. I'm not interested to get recycled material. I want to sell the virgin material. Yeah, they see us as a competitor. But now their mind is changing through the legislation and everything, and they must go this way to take back the waste and to bring it or in chemical recycling or something in a mechanical recycling way together with the virgin material. And this is one of the future, as is done also by other materials, raw material side.
Adrian, do you have some comments?
I think is no other way than the virgin material producer to join the effort with the recyclers, because the market will demand such kind of high quality materials. The brand owners, they will be forced to pay if they are not using this, and they will push the converters to utilize such kind of materials. And we are seeing a big appetite from the producer's point of view to acquire, let's say, medium to big players in the recycling, mechanical recycling activity. So yes, I do believe that.
So that we can summarize the future of the mechanical recycling, integration with the polymer producer, virgin recycling compounds, and of course, due to the higher added value, more expensive price level. Okay, this is the mechanical recycling. I think we close, and after this, wait for your question. We have one topic which is interesting. This is a mass balance approach and the alternative solution, green solution. A mass balance approach is extending to the big promise of chemical recycling, that with accounting tools we can produce recycled green materials. What do you think about Zsolt? It will be the solution on long term, because that not only in connecting to the chemical recycling, but connecting to the normal production in portfolio level. There is some effort that handling the mass balance approach in plastic and product portfolio level. What do you think about it?
First of all, there is definitely no sole solution. There are products which allows us a high flexibility of using several different materials, but there are other products where even the grade of the material is super important. So that is something what we will not be able to solve with mechanical recycled materials. There must be a chemical recycled material. So there will be no one solution, but there will be several solutions. And also I collected a few ideas here that many companies are also working on biosolutions. But we have to take into consideration that there are two major problems with the biosolutions. One is what we also think that we have nice fields. We should not use it for like producing packaging raw material. There is one thing. The second thing, we also made a lot of trials, and we understood that for a nice niche application, these materials are useful, but not for the industrial use. That's the sensitivity of it is different. The second is that if we as converters, we are thinking completely out of the box, not taking just consideration in the material, there are solutions like reuse packaging, for instance. We work with McDonald's to change these single-use items, even the paper ones, to washable, durable reuse solutions. And this is really happening, and this goes forward. And obviously, this can be the future of the mankind as well.
Thank you. That we can turn to the question section. And there was a question that it is just we lost, but it is how connecting to the green transition and how is this affecting to the European economic competitiveness. And my question is that do you think that this green transition is affecting negatively to the European economy, or maybe it will be the driver of the further growth? So that what do you think about it? Is the green transition, and especially the plastics, could be the source of the further development in the future?
Several perspectives to answer that question, personal as well. And I think, okay, I'm an American, but I live in Europe and have so twice now, this time 13 years, I will stay here. In this part of the world, we are pretty darn well off, relatively speaking, almost regardless of what part of Europe you're from. And I think from that perspective, we have, at least to a degree, some responsibility to lead the way, or at least, not wait for everybody else to react. From a business perspective, obviously, we're concerned with certain legislation, over legislation that might limit our business or harm our business. But one thing that comes to mind is this legislation, you mentioned it earlier, Adrian. As individuals, we have little influence. I can be the greatest recycler, I can hold on to my clothes for 50 years and this, that, and the other thing, but as an individual, I have very little impact on the earth, etc. And we need those responsible, so our leaders, our politicians, to create the legislation that is more effective in driving that change. One thing that occurs to me in that light is we can't let the best or better be the enemy of good. We need legislation now, or we need good technologies now, but we shouldn't be waiting and trying to find the solution or the best solution for everything. We need all solutions to tackle this problem. So I know this is maybe sort of a wishy-washy answer in the sense that yes, but I mean, we need this legislation. We need some kind of focus on being greener, if that's the right term. But obviously, that legislation needs to have in mind the citizens in Europe. And if we are all better off, if we're all worse off in 5 years, that's going to have consequences. So we need to be smart about the legislation, but absolutely, I personally, from a personal standpoint, feel like we do, we do need, whether it's the Green Deal or some version of it, we need something.
Adrian, I think, as I see, you have some.
When we're talking about the competitiveness of European Union economy, we have to think with whom we are comparing. We are comparing with India, which is having the deals with Russian oil and gas. We are comparing with China, which is beneficiary, I think the biggest beneficiary of low cost of energy, whatever you can call it, energy, petrol, gas, even electricity. We are comparing with the United States or with Japan, with whom we are comparing when we are talking about competitiveness. One thing is very clear. we are feeling all in our pockets, in our companies, that we become less and less competitive. If nothing will happen, and Brussels should move fast in a direction that we want. We want development. We want this industry to develop further on. We need investment. We need infrastructure for energy. We need better prices for energy. Of course, it's a matter of geopolitics in this moment. And I will try to answer also to the second question regarding the monomer prices will change till December, and it's in relation also with the first question. I would say now we don't have a crystal ball, of course, to know what happens in the Middle East with that conflict. What happens with Ukraine with that conflict, because everything can explode, the crude oil price, and we can see a spike in the prices of polymers, or in contrary, we can see a recession, maybe some countries aside Germany, because when Germany is sneezing, a lot of countries in Europe are having pneumonia. So they are the biggest business partners. Either we are speaking about Hungary, Romania, Slovakia, Poland even. Germany is the biggest partner in European Union for foreign trade. So if Germany is not feeling well, for sure we will not feel well.
One question: do you think that this green legislation, the mandatory recycling content, can be a barrier against the imported plastic products from Turkey, from Asia, because we can use as a tool? Do you think it is an effective, or that our competitors outside of Europe can compete on that field as well? Werner?
Okay, I didn't see that we need.
This question is that.
I know. The Green Deal is the Green Deal. Why is the Green Deal? Because it's for climate change. That's the answer. So if we make legislation that the import from China, from Turkey, from Malaysia, from everywhere have the same rules as we have the production in Europe, but they have to control it, then we have no problems. Then we're a step ahead of the others. And we already know how to use recycled material together with the virgin material or in the production of some articles. The others have to learn it. Yeah, and we should, as we see in R&D, we should invest in R&D in the Green Deal and see the chance to go ahead before the others. In the end, we need it for the climate change. That's the point.
Okay, any comments? No.
I would just add, I mean, the EU has actually been at the forefront of recycling technologies up until this point. It is on, I would say, almost a tipping point of whether that maybe moves to the United States. One of the reasons is the, I'm not an economist, I don't know all the reasons, but barriers to innovation, barriers to the market. I mean, and this is what I meant about better being the enemy of good. I mean, as long as you have good regulation that fosters innovation, that allows, basically that makes a level playing field, then let the companies innovate. Let them, the market will figure out the solutions to these problems. But if you have legislation that puts barriers in front of them, that, as you were saying, we're competing against other regions that have, much looser rules, then of course that's a big challenge. So, but we've got a lot of innovators in this room, a lot of them out there, and we need to keep doing that.
So do you think that we can force to another continent, another supplier who want to sell to Europe should follow the European legislation? And what's happened if the control process is failed. That several cases we heard about that selling that recycled content film, which looks like the virgin made film, that practically the professionals knows that there is no recycled content, so that it is just only the paper, only the certification contains recycled material. That this is I think one of the biggest fear, that the less control in Turkey that is expectable than in Europe.
But you see, as the machine producers of Austria are very famous all over the world. Yeah?
Yes.
We are 3-5 steps ahead of all the other countries. And we can export them, we can learn them. So if the whole world is on the same level, hey, it's good for the climate change once again.
Okay, thank you. And there is a question.
Just to mention, in my opinion, plastic industry, I think we all know that we are not the best friends of the consumers. The plastic is not in a good mind, and what we can argue as a plastic industry is CO2 emission, because the plastic has the lowest CO2 in packaging, whatever. So at least we need it in the plastic industry to stay on the market with this CO2 argument. But we have to show that we can close the loop like other materials. And therefore, I had an interesting discussion from the Austrian plastic organization. We met the paper industry in a paper company which they came out of cigarette filters and now changing more and more over into the food packaging industry. The first point we learned there, in paper, you have no gram of recycled paper in a food contact paper. This is only virgin. So sometimes I think we make our own, in the plastic industry, we make it our own more complex or we want to do it better than the others. And sometimes maybe we overrule ourselves. So we have to be carefully also here. Where's the old paper gone into thick brown parcels for online shopping? So this is the big business of the recycled paper.
You mentioned the messaging and CO2 output in relation to other packaging materials. People will only, particularly the consumers, the average men and women watching TV, looking at advertisements, they're only going to accept that argument if they trust the source that it's coming from. And part of the issue, and I'm chemical recycling in particular, but the plastic industry has an image problem, has a credibility problem. I was reading this morning, yesterday, I think it was yesterday, the state of California, the United States, the Attorney General sued ExxonMobil because of they had claimed that plastic wasn't as bad. It's sort of like the cigarette situation where all the cigarette companies were saying, it's healthy. They're saying plastic isn't bad for the environment, etc. And so the government claims that ExxonMobil caused recycling not to be pursued. So why would they do that? Because we have a bad reputation, and we need to come out with clear but open and honest claims and not pretend to be the solution when we're not.
I'm not fully agreed that we have a bad reputation. Remember 2020 when plastic saved the planet. No. Masks, robes, all kind of devices for medical care. We saved the planet, plastics. Yeah. So it was not so bad at that time.
But memories are short. That's the problem.
To add only the CO2 emission, what Clemens said. So if you produce 1 kilo of virgin plastic, you have about from 2.5 to 3 kilos of CO2 emissions. If you use recycled material, you have 0.3. Only this figure.
Is it includes to the CO2 emission of transportation as well?
Yeah. Mechanically recycled.
Yeah, mechanical recycling, yeah. Okay. So this figure is one of the Green Deal's success, yeah? And I don't know, why should we discuss, is there mechanical recycling or also chemical recycling? need. It's a need. It's a need for everything. It's only a problem, the market. The market doesn't allow us to invest more and to do more. And some small point what I said for the food certification. Every time when I buy a pizza and see the carton where the pizza is inside with the oil and everything, and there's a food application for this recycling paper, and we don't get it for plastic. Think about what we're eating here, yeah? From the recycling carton of a pizza carton. And for the polyethylene, polypropylene carton, we didn't get it. If you can explain me the difference.
Any comment regarding that? Okay, next time we're ordering pizza in polypropylene. Okay, that regarding to the image of the plastics, that there is a question that how we eliminate the plastics, because several times the people thinking about the plastics as a problem, we should eliminate. Because that, I think that if we're talking about that, it is a different story. The littering should eliminate, but it is not the question of the material. It is a question of the police that I think it's manageable on another level. But I think it's the most important that how we turn to the rubbish to waste. The waste means, in our terminology, the raw material for recycling, mechanical and chemical recycling as well. So, do you have another question from the audience? Raising hand. Nobody's enough brave that somebody want to tell, which is very important, and we don't talk about that. I think the summarizing the panel discussion, I think the most important issue, the sorting, the early sorting of the waste. Early sorting of the waste, how we can transform the waste as a raw material of the packaging and the recycling industry. So that is a solution, and I am so happy that you participate on this panel discussion. And I hope that we will continue this discussion, but I was realistic, let's say this a little bit pessimistic before we start, and now I'm more optimistic. Thank you for forming my mood, and I hope that you'll be more optimistic. Christian, do you have a question? Because you raised your hand. Okay, that there is an expert who can...
I'm giving him a microphone. Christian, but be fast, because I think people want to join the reception outside. I'm just kidding.
So, I have a question for Greiner, company Greiner, who mentioned that maybe polystyrene yogurt cups could be used as food contact polystyrene feedstock. My question is, how can you select or sorting from the yellow cap, the yogurt caps from other polystyrene products? So it is a so-called Brazilian line, is a manual work, or there is a technique or technology for sorting food contact grades from not food contact products? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. First of all, we need to understand that to have a proper sorting, we need volume as well. And that volume is not available all over in Europe, but we are identified that, especially in the German-speaking countries, Austria, Germany, and Switzerland, there is a massive and high volume use and need for polystyrene cups for this kind of products. And it was created a value chain for it, and it was sorted, selected in that way. Of course, the availability of the volume of the material is not that high, so we are talking about like 20 tons. But it's a good example which direction we should go. And of course, if we can bring this good example to the market, we can also motivate the other materials, the representatives of the whole chain to do something more in this direction. So we are not talking about huge volumes here, but even the small volume what we can utilize in that production is a big volume.
And as far as I know, this sorting is happening on the household level in Germany and the German-speaking countries.
Yes.
that it is not in the mass waste that the people at home sorting.
But it made by manual work or?
Manual, only manual, obviously.
Which is very expensive, to be honest.
More questions?
Maybe one thing to add here that it's quite important that there are products in the dairy market which does not really fit to polypropylene. And therefore there is a need for polystyrene. And unless we didn't do that, it should have been banned, which is not the target of the customers, of the fillers of this material. So we were we were motivated to find a solution. And even though it's more expensive, they are looking for that solution.
I try to sorting at my home such polymer products as well, and I really surprised that sometimes it is labeled by plastic, sometimes it is labeled some other polymers, which is not possible to remove. Sometimes it is polypropylene. So it is, and however, on the top there is a aluminum label or layer, sorry, and sometimes there are some residual food contamination, yogurt or butter, or it doesn't matter. It is so it is. After a few days, such residual food is don't disturb the food regulation for this recycled material, or better to wash at home these caps for you, or it is taught for population that, hey, please remove any other material and wash it and clean it totally, and this is good for recyclers, of course, or it is part of the German mentality in recycling technology.
I not agree with you that it is not only the German mentality, that all over eastern part of Central Europe, when the deposit return system is introduced, that it is a successful story. That everybody is want to take back the packaging materials, the bottles, and in Hungary, for example, it makes a lot of problem because the machines is always full, so that it is a sign of the success. That I think that the people want to understand the problem of the climate changes, understand the problem that they should do something against that, or that I think it's a well-known and everybody is convinced that this is the future, the recyclation. So that I think if we explain and ensure the opportunity that they are collecting on that way. For example, in Hungary the yellow trash bins quite empty because that mostly in PET dropped in the past. Now goes back to the deposit return system. I think if we give the new task for the people that start to collect in this kind of fraction, polystyrene and HDP bottles, for example, that it is not collected, or PP random bottles, so that we can define what we can collect again. It is improve the variety of the waste, and improve to the variety of the recycled materials. Because now is the problem in Central Europe, we are regulating mostly polyethylene films. In the case of the polyethylene, mostly films. This is the big problem. We issuing that film grades, recycled film grades, and need another things as well. Thank you for your attention. That I think we're closing this panel discussion. And then we continue some drinking reception, and we continue the discussion in person. Thank you so much.